Are all calories built equal? In terms of pure muscle gain and pure fat loss, assuming protein's the same? Yes, actually. Whether you get your carbs from a bowl of white rice or an orange, they're pretty much going to do the same thing in your body. However, just because calories are all equal, that does not mean that all foods are equal. I'm sure many of you are aware how today in the supermarket, there's tons of super palatable, super calorically dense and delicious foods that make people overeat. For the average person who doesn't track their nutrition very precisely, this is going to cause them to overeat. I mean, can you even imagine how they stuff 70 calories in one Oreo? To the average person, one Oreo is not a very big serving, yet there's 70 calories. And this can be extremely demotivating because people who think they're in a deficit might have just a little treat, an Oreo or two, and that might push them up to even maintenance, or maybe it might even put them in a surplus. And then these people are left thinking, I'm fat loss dieting. How am I gaining weight? Now, the deliciousness of these foods can actually be utilized if you're one who struggles to eat and you're on a muscle gain diet. I mean, a treat or two here and there, it's not going to do you any harm at all. I mean, I'm willing to bet that the blood work of someone who eats a cookie after dinner, assuming their calories are the same, it's going to be exactly the same. Some people also find that allowing themselves small treats on a fat loss diet helps them stay motivated and it helps them curb their cravings. However, for almost everyone, I would recommend eating as clean as possible. Now, does that mean you need to always eat clean? No, but I think the majority of your diet should be clean, whole, nutritious foods. That is going to be the best bet of curbing hunger and increasing the likelihood that you're actually going to achieve your goal. It is actually true. You can actually lose fat while eating donuts and pizza. However, for the average person, that's extremely hard, and that goes back to what I was talking about before about portion sizes and calorically dense foods. People just don't realize how many calories are in those foods for seemingly small portions. I mean, and if you don't believe me, go ahead tomorrow, eat a donut, and then the next day, eat a full bag of baby carrots. And let me know which one fills you up more. I am praying for your toilet after that bag of baby carrots, though. So now we understand that the hyperpalatability and super calorically dense foods are actually the things that are mostly responsible for leading you astray from your goal. However, does that mean that all these foods are unhealthy? Well, not necessarily, because a lot of people think of health as a binary. A food is either healthy or it's unhealthy, but that really doesn't exist. A much better description is to describe healthy eating as a spectrum. There are healthier foods, and then there are unhealthier foods, less healthy foods. Here's an example. It's not crazy to say that an apple is generally healthier than ice cream, but what if I sauteed that apple in some coconut oil? I mean, macronutrient wise, these things are almost the same now. But does that mean the apple is still healthier? Generally speaking, yes, I would say the apple is healthier because it has fiber and other micronutrients and it has a larger volume, which means that if I am fat loss dieting, it could be more helpful for curbing my hunger because there's just more food to eat, really. Here's another example. White rice is a staple in pretty much every single cuisine, and it's absolutely delicious, but most people think of it as either a health neutral food or a healthy food. However, table sugar is thought of as a very unhealthy food. But when you really break it down and you look at what these things are made of, they are made of literally the exact same thing. They are literally just simple sugars without anything else, really. There are plenty of traditionally unhealthy foods like cheese that get a lot of flack for their saturated fat content, when in reality, in moderation for most people, they are health neutral or even health beneficial. And then the same thing can be said the other way with traditionally healthy foods. Things like dried fruit are an absolute trap. I mean, sure, it has fruit in the name, but what is it really? Again, kind of like white rice, it's pretty much just sugar. This might be kind of controversial, but in my opinion, what's way more important than what you're eating, any one specific food you want to eat, is whether you're actually making progress towards your goal. So let's say, for example, you just love buttered toast for whatever reason. And you tell your friend about how you love buttered toast so much, and he's like, dude, I can literally feel your arteries clogging because of how much butter you eat. And you look at him and you're like, well, I'm still losing weight. I feel perfectly fine. I'm not super hungry, and dieting isn't very hard. So you can just go tell your friend that he's wrong because it's clearly working and you are improving your health, even if this random dude says butter is unhealthy, which I really don't think it is. I think it is healthy. What's way more important for the average person than not eating X food or eating Y food is staying metabolically healthy, which pretty much means, are you getting enough nutrients, including calories, macronutrients, micronutrients, things like that? Are you insulin resistant? Do you have high blood pressure? Are you overweight, or do you have any medical conditions like diabetes? Things like that are much more pressing towards your health, and fixing those things will significantly improve your health way more than whether you eat buttered toast or a bowl of ice cream on the weekend or not. So let's go over some practical applications. Eat almost entirely whole, clean, nutritious foods. This is just the best way for most people who don't want to track super religiously or hyperfixate on all the calories and things to still be able to enjoy food but have an easier time dieting because of the higher food volume and the higher fiber content. And typically, these foods are just more satiating, which makes it easier. I would consider many whole foods as healthier options than ultra processed junk food because of what I mentioned before. However, that doesn't mean that there is no room for these less healthy foods. I mean, an Oreo or two, it's not gonna kill you, okay? Nothing's gonna happen. And honestly, overall, as long as you're at a healthy weight and metabolically healthy, like I mentioned before, you're already doing great. And that is the most important thing. Have a good day, you guys.